All right, what's going on? Hello, hello, beautiful people of the world. Thumbs up. Awesome. Wow, awesome. Great to see you guys here. Woo! It is a full house today. Wow, 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 wow. Fantastic. We've got Bob, Kim, Brian, Ashley, Haley, Caitlin, Misa, Chris, Stefan, and you all guys are started jumping in here at 4 o'clock. Fantastic. So excited to see you. Leonardo, Sean, got some guests joining too as well. Kristen, Juvie is in the house. Hello, Juvie. Awesome. So just get familiar with this interface. Yeah, I got the thumbs and thumbs up here. There's the chat feature there. So just type in the chat where you're coming in from, really, in what business you're in. So we can, ooh, there's a heart. Type in the chat where you're coming in from, like what state, city, maybe what the weather's like, what business you're in. We got a ton of ground to cover. Just want to wait a minute for folks to join. So in the chat, just type in that where you're coming in from. That would be great. There's also at the top, you should see participants and you should see the offer, which we're going to offer later to you in addition to other offers. So type in the chat so I know you're here. Are you here? Where are you coming in from? Where are you coming in from? Okay, Juvie's from Fullerton, California. We got Stefan from Washington, D.C. Awesome. Um, Ashley is in Asheville, North Carolina. No coincidence. Kim, Exton, Pennsylvania. Put in the weather too. What's the weather by you guys? It's really freezing in New York at the moment. At least I think it is. Anyway, we got a ton of content here to share with you guys, and this is going to be really an experiential conversation we're going to have today. So your time is precious. You can never get this time back again. Either can I, by the way. That's why I'm going to make sure to make this the best masterclass you've ever attended to give you some real shifts of thinking, shifts of experiencing your business so that you can totally conquer your category in 2024. We're going to share with you these 5 marketing shifts that top CEOs make to grow sales even in a noisy market. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining, type in the chat where you're coming in from and we're going to get started. Awesome. 49 and sunny. Ashley, fantastic. Awesome. Okay. Who else do we have? Thing we're having. And I thrive on the interaction that you and I are having because if we're not having it, then what are we having? You might as well be watching a YouTube video. So type in the chat here what business you're in. And also, it would be good to know who your ideal customer is. Type that in the chat. We need to keep our virtual arm around them in this session here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us get started. There's a ton of ground that we want to cover. All right. First of all, can you see me okay? Could you hear me and can you see my screen okay? Thumbs up on that. Type in the chat. Thumbs up. Cybersecurity. Awesome. Thumbs up. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Great. All right. Haley, telecommunications, technology consulting. Fantastic. Okay. Great. Just something really funny. You know how AI makes drawings of people with like 6 fingers? This was my wife sent this to me. It's just really funny to like put up. I don't know if it's a real thing or not, totally fake, but imagine people wearing a 6 finger so they can go wild at holiday parties, just so when the photographs come out, they can claim it was AI making it. Anyway, just a funny thing. So most B2B solution companies struggle in describing their solution very simply, clearly, in a way that motivates customers to become customers. That's why we're jumping into these 5 shifts today. This is just also a pretty funny meme. It's hard to do that. Also, my heart goes out to you guys if you rebranded your site in 2023 and it did nothing to help you with sales, and it's likely that you didn't make one or more of the 5 shifts that we're going to be talking about today. This really hurts but it really will feel good when you do this right. Welcome, Chris. Type in the chat where you're coming in from, who is your ideal customer as well. Hello, Ashley. Awesome to see you. Kevin. You guys can see the participants too on this list as well. We've got a great group of folks here. All right. So we're talking about something super important, which is the thing that stands in between you or your business, rather, your solution and your ideal customers, using that solution to be awesome. And we're talking about once you can do that, you'll see examples like this that Trisha has tripled sales because of the messaging that they're using. This is really the point of why we're talking about it. It's related to sales because powerful messages start with powerful perspectives, and that's what we're going to be working on today. These shifts in your perspective as a leader for your business, for your innovation solution, not just about promotion. So if you think about what stands in between your innovation and all your ideal prospects becoming customers, I believe what stands in the way is simply your message. And the market is really crowded. So this is what we're going to be focusing on today. So type in the chat, where does your message come from? Where does it come from? The birds and the bees? Where does the storks in the sky? Type in the chat, where does your message come from? Where does it come from? Type in the chat. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome, Chris, Ashley, Stefan. Welcome, Leonardo, Kevin, Mark, Tom. Where does your message come from? Does it come from ChatGPT? I'm laughing only because we're going to have a fifth shift that I'm so excited about today I just can't hold myself back. I'm so excited to share this fifth shift with you because I only made this fifth shift about like a month ago. It is so like that I'm so excited to share it with you. Virtually 0.0001 CEOs in the world have made this fifth shift that we're going to jump in today. So excited. So Stefan, internal, not necessarily the correct approach. Where does your message come from? Correct. Leadership groupthink. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about this today. And if you're selling in a category, look at what the phone did. The phone in 30 years. Something has changed with the phone. There's some core element there, but the categories around the phone has been created. And categories like watches, there's Swiss watches like a Rolex and a Swatch. They both tell time. They're both in the same category, if you will, but they're in two totally different categories. One costs 15,000, one costs 150. So cool to see what Tesla did with like a genius marketing person, even though I don't know if they need marketing. They had a race between a Tesla Cybertruck, which just came out, and you either love it or hate it, but they had a race between a Cybertruck and a Porsche 911, and it beat the 911 while towing a 911. So really cool in marketing. Talk about clash of categories. We're talking in this masterclass to conquer your category. How do you freaking do that? How will you do that in 2024? I've got some ideas for you if you make these 5 shifts. If you're excited to jump into this, type in the chat. Let's go. Quick shift to number 5. It has to do with AI, and we're going to jump into that. I'm so excited. I had to give you that hint. Let's go. Kim, give me a let's go. Haley, Stefan, Mike, we are all here together. I love you guys. This is time that we'll never get back. So let's make the most of it. Dive right in. Participate in this. No spectators here. This is a masterclass that requires your participation. I'll kick you out if you're just sit there lurking in the sidelines because I need you to make these shifts. All right. If your story isn't simple, clear, and compelling, you're toast. That's just the bottom line. And I hope that this hasn't happened to you. That happened to John Cena here. If you don't have your homepage doing the heavy lifting, your sales will suffer. Your salespeople are going to cry at night themselves to bed because they're having to do all these basic conversations we don't want them to do because you're going to hire a great salesperson and they're going to quit on you because your marketing doesn't do that work. So I've been let down by marketing too. The first 6 months, hire a CMO or marketer. They spend meeting the team, learning everything about the solution. 6 to 12 months, they rebrand colors and logo. They put up a website, they create a project, and they're fired or gone in 13 or 14 months. It's not just me saying this, these are industry stats. And this has happened because there's a huge misalignment. A lot of marketers are playing by a marketing playbook that doesn't work anymore. And many marketers haven't sold a thing in their lives because they don't know. They have good intentions, they just don't know. So marketing is hype doesn't work. And I did like a pull from Apollo of companies' SEO descriptions where I just went through them and even asked ChatGPT to comment and critique these SEO descriptions from an intent perspective. And they're terrible. Like this one: create, collaborate, communicate, commit. Oh my gosh, put me out of my misery. Better, safer, faster with Ashton. Says who? Like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about. This self centric, aggrandizing kind of messaging that doesn't do anything for sales. All right, let's jump into this. Hello, Mike. Hello, Juvie. Let's go. So, ground rules. Number one, this is not for spectators. This is for action takers. So give me a one in the chat if you are an action taker and you appreciate that. Ground rule number two, type in a two in the chat that I will challenge you. You will not be able to look at your homepage the same again. So if you're not open to doing this, then you could leave this masterclass right now. But if you are open to doing this, really being challenged by how you're viewing your own marketing, type in two in the chat. I want a two. This is the ground rules. All right. So there will be no replay. This is for us here right now, having a moment. We're having a moment together. And I will be giving away a PDF of the proven framework that sold hundreds of millions of dollars of solutions for you to look at, to emulate. This is actually in my book that's coming out in 2024, hopefully by February. Oh my gosh, that's a whole sob story right there, to help you get more customers. So I will not pitch you. This is part of the ground rule. I will not pitch you. Even though I'm the CEO of Pitch Kitchen, I will not do it. But I will, at the end, be offering 5 CEOs to help make these 5 shifts. And there'll be an opportunity to book a free marketing sales enablement audit at the end of this. And as you can see in the chat, upper right-hand side, there is that offer. You can click that button. You can do that at any time if you can't stay to the end. But that is the offer. Okay. Does that sound fair? So give me a 3 in the chat if that sounds fair to you. Awesome. 3.1. All right. All right. Guest 2.219 gives me a 3. I love that. I love you, guest 2.219. Sounds like a stormtrooper. Speaking, I got my stormtrooper cup here, TK4501, guest 219. All right. So if you're here, it's likely because you're selling an innovation or revolutionizing, fill in the blank. Give me a 1 in the chat if this is you. If you're selling an innovation. Okay, great, great. So a little bad news, and it's not just because I'm from New York, but the bad news is, yeah, I'm going to put up the big hand. The big hand says this. Says who? I know that's shocker, but we don't have a right to say that. And this is part of one of the shifts that we're going to get into. I've had the privilege of working with whom I consider unicorn CEOs that have totally created a category in their markets. I have been honored to work with them and help them make these shifts. You could look them up and look me up in the work that we've done if you haven't heard of us. This is the book that's not coming out in January. It's coming out in February, God willing. Start with the problem, how to grow sales and lead your category to market already flooded with solutions. Just so you know who I am. Before the shifts, a lot of companies like, Warren Johnson, CEO of Scribex, had stagnant growth, good people leaving, value of innovation wasn't getting across, missing forecasts. They went from 137 customers to almost 3,000 in 12 months through the foundational brand messaging makeover, website, sales presentation redesign, and everything that went out to social. This is really huge stuff. This is really the thing that stands between you, your innovation, and your ideal customers. So another example, Manish, missed targets, bootstrap with limited runway, could not invest in the product without more customers. They've grown exponentially since 2022 with a really great innovative product. And this is hard stuff because, honestly, the marketers that you work with, a lot of them aren't paid to take an opposing view. They're paid, as it were, to market the hell out of your product. Uh, damn the torpedoes. Um, and you're also stuck with the sort of inside baseball lingo of a lot of the leadership people that you're working with. So I know the stakes are high. A lot of businesses are failing. I read this in the New York Times. You probably saw this just last week. I think they wrote 3,200 private venture-backed companies, venture-backed U.S. companies have gone out of business this year. This is a lot of stakes here. I got this email last week from Smart Cyber US. Great name. Ceased all U.S. operations. This was just last week. So I know a lot's at stake. I know that the best salesperson is not going to save you. In fact, they may leave you if they can't really um, live off the backs of great story. ChatGPT won't save you because if you have garbage in, garbage out, give me a 2 in the chat if you've worked with ChatGPT. Love it, but struggle to get it to give you the messaging that is 100% on brand or what you want. So give me, I think, a 2 in the chat. Yeah. So it's not going to save you. So who am I? I'm the CEO of Pitch Kitchen. My name is Greg Rosner. I offer fractional CMO, and my small team offers agency services. And I've sold personally before I was CEO, enterprise software and sales. I designed with my team as well presentations in the thousands, pitch decks and presentations, and then saw a pattern of what works and what doesn't work based on a collaboration between what's on the homepage. Because if you think about it, a homepage is your best sales presentation. And if that isn't doing the work, then you're suffering doing a lot of the basic stuff in a sales presentation you shouldn't have to do. So I learned a ton. Also, we trained a ton of salespeople to use this more conversational approach. So type in the chat here, who is your ideal customer? Who is your ideal customer? I want to know because we need to really put our arm around them in this session. How well you understand your customer is your biggest competitive advantage. So this is for CEOs, this masterclass. We're bringing innovation to your customers, to the market. CEOs are committed to your vision. CEOs are early stage or growth stage who are stuck at a level or plateauing or struggling to get growth in this noisy market. CEOs' success depends on getting prospects to change. All right, I'm just looking at Mike. CHROs, who you sell to, Ashley, manufacturers, Mark, legal, marketing people, chartered with implementing privacy compliance. Fantastic. So let's keep our arms around those people here. So this is who this is for, and CEOs are able to invest time and money in the business because this is what it takes. If you're not any of these, then you can bow out of this. This is only for people like this. So if you are, this is my promise to you. In the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to nail your sales message, how to turn your sales presentation into buying conversations, why it's game over for traditional website copywriting and design, how to close more deals faster, and how to attract ideal customers and close them quicker without adding headcount. That's my promise to you. This is also the promise. You're going to get a PDF copy of the Magnetic Messaging Framework, which is a template for the most highly converting B2B websites. I created this template off of doing all the work that we've been doing, finding patterns of what's working, what's not working, but also off the backs of other frameworks and other very successful B2B websites. I went with my team and did a shit ton of research to see what is working and what is not working. And in this magnetic messaging framework, you have all the sections that you need to touch in order to convert people. So you are going to get that at the end of this session. All right, so jumping into Conquer Your Category in 2024, let's get started. But first, is this you? You've got an amazing solution. Your customers love you, but your prospects just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand. And you and your sales rep are really working hard explaining what your product does and why everybody should care. It should be a no-brainer, but it is a brainer. If they only knew what it can do, but they don't know. You may have a marketer spending a lot of time and money on marketing that may not be turning into sales. Your demos may not be turning into sales either. And the 78% comes from a Gartner report, which is like the average, which is really, really bad. If you're reading or have read some of the most powerful marketing books, like This is Marketing by Seth Godin, Building a Story Brand, Donald Miller, Gap Selling by Keenan. So you know the formula, you know it, but you haven't made it real on your homepage. You haven't made these shifts. So we're going to talk about it. If you've got sales reps here that are telling different stories and afraid to invest in hiring more salespeople because you're not arming them with the message and the sales message, the marketing message they need to be successful, clear, and compelling, you're here in the right place to get through these shifts. If you're spending money on graphics people, social people, PPC people, website people, but you're missing a single compelling story to attract your ideal customers into your pipeline, then you're in the right place. All right. If you're using language that sounds like this, read this. Software platform drives transparent, data-driven decisions. What in the name of God does that mean? You think ChatGPT understands what that means? Probably not. Creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability. Do you have any idea what this company sells? No. All right. If you're using any of these language on your homepage, you haven't made these shifts, which is self-described language like powerful, most trusted, the leader of, the all-in-one. This doesn't work. So we're going to be going through shifts. They're going to have you come from a better perspective. If you're always having to make excuses for your website, if you're shoving more content, ROI calculators and case studies at people, and they're not helping to convert, if your solution is sophisticated, your deals are complicated, every customer is unique, every value proposition is customized, and you're thinking to yourself, how in hell can our sales messaging be super simple given this setup and how amazing our solution is? You haven't made the shifts. All right. So, good news. I got good news as I take a sip of coffee. By the way, I'm trying to speak at 1.2x speed because I like to watch videos that way. And so I'm trying to talk fast so that you get it quickly. So the good news is those are symptoms. The real problem is that you have not made one or more of these shifts. But once you do, these things are going to happen for you and your business. Complete confidence in your marketing spend. You're going to lead your category, accelerate the qualification, close more deals. Your leadership team will finally be aligned and proud of your website marketing and sales message. You'll be able to create tons of 100% on-brand content everywhere, every month, without hiring anyone new. Attract ideal prospects showing up predisposed to buy. This is a really big order, but this is what we're going to talk about really literally in the next 35 minutes. So if you guys are excited to jump in, give me a 9 in the chat and we will jump into the 5 shifts. All right. Wow. We got a bunch of 9s. Chris, Sean, Brian, Ashley, Kim, Stefan. All right. The first shift, thumbs up, is to lead a movement. Lead a movement. What do I mean by this? Okay. So, are you selling an innovation? Y'all said you are. What does your innovation challenge? Okay. You're selling innovation. Type in the chat. What does your innovation challenge? Just saying that you're different in innovation doesn't make you uh, doesn't make you the one to buy. It just makes you different. Okay, so look at um, what Salesforce did in 2012, like multi-billion-dollar company today. They led a rebellion against something and led a movement towards something else. Did they not? They were pretty freaking successful with that, right? They were. So if you're selling solutions, think of it this way. You are the enemy. You are absolutely the enemy of the status quo. And guess what, folks? You are also, they are the enemy of you, and they are the enemy of your customers, your ideal customers that you currently have your arm around right now. Hello, Leandro. So the old way of pitching or the old voice of marketing is coming from a place of an arrogant expert making claims that you saw a list of before. Why we're the best? We're the best, and here's why. The new way that you need to make a shift on in every stitch of marketing has to be to become a rebel leader, encouraging change, leading a movement, describing how the old way is dead, leads to nowhere. The world has changed, and winners are taking this new approach, and it's game over for the rest. This is a fundamental shift. So type in the chat, what are you rebelling against? I hope you know, and if you don't know, take this time experientially with me. Take a deep breath and type in the chat, what are you rebelling against? What is your contrarian ideology? What change does your innovation require of your customers? What do they also need to believe that needs to get them to change and rebel? Type in the chat, checkbox solutions to compliance. I'm not sure what that means, but you can type more so that we know more what you mean. So what are you rebelling against? PM Bach versus program. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. All right, we got to type stuff that it passes the mother test here, folks. The mother test, like, is if my mother is sitting here, or your mom, she would understand what you're rebelling against. That's the mother test. All right, legacy systems, hiring outside the traditional profile. Good, good. I'm beginning to get that. So in order to stand out, you got to know what you stand for. You got to know what you asking your ideal people who you're serving to stop doing. Stop it. Stop with your legacy systems, Chris. That was what you're saying. Mike, you're saying stop with the old way to manage projects. Stefan, you're saying you're all thinking old, but you're not really saying what about that thinking is old. Stop hiring the traditional profile. Like, you got to dig in. What is that traditional file? Get real specific. What do you want people to start doing? That's the other side of the coin. Get really clear. Because if you're doing this, you are freaking leading a movement, which is much bigger than your product. And guess what? That movement is the thought leadership. That movement is really what inspired you to start your company in the first place. That movement is what is really going to encourage folks that are already thinking that the old way is not working for them anymore and are excited you're helping guide them to that better way. So just stop selling your product, start leading a movement instead. The people who aren't on board with this, your prospects that don't believe what you believe, are not enrolled in this journey. They are going to freaking ignore you. You can ignore them too. Do not worry. The market's big enough. You can't be everything to everyone. We're going to go into this. This site is fantastic. It's an example of a top of the page discussion of turning from the old way to the new way. You don't have to go into detail here, but you get the idea. All right. And sales, unlike marketing, not to beat up marketers, but I've been let down by marketing before, and I'm sure you have as well. We marketers, all of us, need to help our organizations lead a movement. And sales is an act of leadership. You're helping one-on-one have the right conversations with customers to lead them to a better way. If you're down with that, if that makes sense to you, give me a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you. Mike, 1. Chris, I got a thumbs up. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Haley, Kim. Yes. So, we call this a buyer's mission statement. Forget about our mission statement. Nobody gives a crap about your mission statement, your company, your why. What do people care about? They care about what they are trying to accomplish. That's why creating a buyer's mission statement is much better when you're leading a movement. So look at these buyer's mission statements. They're typically 3 to 5 words. And they also have other telltale signs. Can you tell? Pretend you are ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, what's all the things in common with these hashtags? What do they all have in common? So come on, guys, pretend I want to be ChatGPT when I grow up. If you were ChatGPT, what would you say all of these have in common? What is the framework? What is the thread here? Come on, you can do it. Type in the chat. Mike, starts with action. Yes. Action. Yes. Individualism. Yes. It has to do with people deciding to make a change. Yeah. But so Trust your source is from the Wall Street Journal. Nike, just do it. Hit your numbers. Zoom. Eat with purpose. Chopped. Find your beach. Corona. Own your tomorrow. Guess who that's from? That's from Charles Schwab. Companies that you know. So all of these have something in common. They're all social movements that have helped people identify with a movement. So what's your buyer's mission statement? This is an experiential workshop. Give it a shot. Type in the chat. Give me a hashtag. Give me a hashtag that should sound like a freaking battle cry that Arnold Schwarzenegger would say to his people that he's freeing in Conan the Barbarian. I'm sorry, I'm a big Arnold fan. He probably never had a battle cry in Conan the Barbarian, but if he did have one, or if you have one for your business, give me it in the chat. Let me see. Let me see what you got. Yeah, die. So MW, hashtag meaningful compliance. I would say no to that. Do you know why I'm saying no to that? Because that is a steady state. That doesn't require any action. That's pointing to a maybe a promised land, a place that you want to get your people, a world where compliance is meaningful, but it's not asking people to do anything to get there. So minus 2 points on that. Protect your network. I like that, Caitlin. Starts with a verb. Cancel telecom overspend. Ooh, I like that. Move beyond the binary view. I like that too. So good work, guys. Look at Zoom Info, hit your number. Wonderful. What does Zoom Info sell? They sell data. Boring, but no, guess what? It's data that helps you hit your number. Very exciting. You see what I mean? Look at these companies that are leading a movement and using words that help with that. All right, so marketing is about action. Marketing is about change, not promotion. Nobody likes to change, so it comes down to risk. So if you look at the people you're selling to, this is a great curve about crossing the chasm. This is the chasm your customers have to cross. Forget about you as a business. I've turned what Jeffrey Moore did upside down and make this about your customers, about your buyers. Where on the one side, the risk of changing is too great for them. And you know who they are. You've spoken to them. You speak to those folks probably more than you speak to the folks where the risk of doing nothing in 2024 is too great for them. So I'm just curious. Give me uh, a team red if the folks team red. Give me type red in the chat if you speak to folks who the risk of doing nothing is greater than the risks of changing. That's confusing. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused myself. But anyway, you're going to be the enemy of those people where the risk of changing is too great. So bad news is some of you aren't going to make it because you're marketing to the wrong people. And this perspective really is your strategy. Jeff Aronson, CEO of EquipX, before he made these shifts, real quick story. Marketing content was confusing. Pipeline was thin, letting key partners down and investors down, losing deals to maybe never, maybe in the future. And this is a picture of the website before the shift change. And like, read this text. What does even this mean? Nobody knows. With a call to action to download overview. Excuse me, isn't that what the web page is supposed to be? Just give me the overview right on the homepage. Don't ask me to click something to download it. Forget it. All right. So after he made these shifts, tripled revenue, I don't know, 6x pipelined in 4 months. I'm so proud of what Jeff has done after making these shifts. And look at his website there for this business after the fact. Reduce your lease costs, bring strategic equipment management to your health system, turn underutilized equipment into an optimized health system. This really resonated with his ideal customer. So remember, while this may not pass the mother test, it does pass the mother test of a mother who works as a CFO for a hospital and knows how much they're spending on their MRI machines. All right, so the first shift is to lead an uprising, to lead a movement. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 in the chat if that makes sense as the first shift. Brian, Kim, Chris, we got guest 219. There's my Stormtrooper, TK4506. I like Stormtroopers. I'm a big Star Wars fan myself. Red pill or blue pill? Yeah. All right. So shift number two, start with the problem. So give me let's do a quick test. Give me a number 7 in the chat. If you think right now you are starting with the problem with your website, with your messaging, your proposals, your social, give me a 9 or 7 in the chat if you think you do this. So this is the first shift. But I would say, let's talk first for a moment. Why not start with your solution? So here's one picture should give you the reason why you can't start with your solution. So what's wrong with starting with your solution in a market that looks like this? And this is just the marketing technology landscape. I'm sure your market landscape looks different, but maybe similarly crowded. And maybe your prospects confuse your innovation with innovations that are nothing like it. And if that's happening, give me a 666. Give me a devil sign in the chat. 666. Yeah. Yeah. If your innovation is being confused with innovations that are nothing like it. So you're starting with the solution in this case. So solution marketing doesn't work anymore because you're not describing in your story, in your messaging, why people should change, why they need to change now, and why they need to change with your innovation, with your solution. So the old way of doing this is starting with your solution. This is the thing. You've got a problem. We've got a solution. This is what it is and why you should buy it. The new way, it starts upside down. It starts from the customer's eyes looking out, starts with the problem. And it essentially says, well, we help companies who are struggling with something, struggling with fill in the blank. Versus the old way is saying we help companies generate more leads. We help companies get more of this, achieve more of that. That's the old way, the old narrative that doesn't work anymore. And ChatGPT will give you gigatons of content that sounds like the old way, sadly. Maybe in a few years it'll change, but that's how internet trained it. Internet marketing has trained it. So this is Jeffrey Moore's chasm. We're turning this chasm upside down to say, look, you got to ignore a lot of people who really feel that the risk of changing is too great, educate, influence, and encourage people along the journey. The people who you recognize and they believe just like you believe that, look, if they don't do anything in 2024, the cost, the risk associated with not changing is massive. Now, that is something you can't convince somebody of, but you could influence their thinking and encourage them if the seed is already germinating in their minds. So for example, a bad CPA marketing message would be accounting for the pace of change. So that is actually from a website from one of the best, I think, accounting firms in Atlanta area, Bennett Thrasher, accounting for the pace of change. What does that even mean? Is that even speaking to people who feel a risk of doing anything? No. So take a look at the after. A good CPA might say, many people overpay taxes. We can help put an end to that. That's great. And that's great for people who the risk of doing nothing is greater than the risk of changing their CPA. So take a look at the after of that website. This is all about positioning BT as the trusted advisor for organizations who feel that the risk of doing nothing is too great. So much better, works great. So type in the comments below, what's the number one problem that your prospective customers have? Type in the comments, what's the number one problem that your prospective customers have? This is a little bit of a trick question, but I think you can do it. Yeah, Chris, risk. Succeeding with software projects. That's the problem. They have a problem succeeding. So that means they're failing. That's wrong. So Mike, they're failing with software projects. They're not succeeding. Brian, business revenue disruption. Yes, not understanding. So they're ignorant of their current landscape. So would they know that though? So Stefan, I would challenge you to say, going back to what's the number one problem your prospectives have? Is that the problem that they themselves would diagnose? Or is that a problem that you have from the outside? There's an important distinction. Because if you just tell people facts like, hey, guess what, Bob? You don't understand your landscape, your current landscape. Would that fact, even if you gave them a statistic, would that change their mind? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Would that change people's minds if you told them facts? Yes or no? Do facts change people's minds? Yes or no? Yes, no, depends, right? I did this poll on LinkedIn. Yes, there are going to be folks that say no, yes, whatever. But we all know there are flat earthers. We all know that people who believe in the things that they care about, not necessarily the things that you care about. So nobody really cares about your why or your business. They care about themselves. And if you could really appreciate this part of the shift, we're starting with the problem, where you are basically describing people's problem better than they can describe it themselves. They're going to automatically assume you've got the best solution. And why is that? Just type in the chat, why is it that if you can describe someone's problem better than they can, they will automatically think that you have the best solution? Type that in the chat. Yeah, why does it mean you can help? Why? Why? Confidence, emotional hook. It means you get them. I get you. I see you. I see you. I understand you. Here, let me give the heart. Yes, they I got you. I feel you. I understand you. And this is why starting with the problem works so much better. This is a really great example of one of the CEOs that made the shift for ReadyWorks. Patience before paper. Damn it. Hospitals are telling nurses and doctors they have to fill out forms with checklists instead of spending time with patients. And that's putting paper before patients, which is a problem. This really helped ReadyWorks succeed and get a lot more sales. Simple, focus on positioning, starting with the problem. If this makes sense to you, give me a 1 in the chat. That starting with the problem is a fundamental shift you need to make in your story, in your messaging. Give me a 1 in the chat. Come on, there's a lot of folks here. If you're not driving, got 24 folks here. Type in the chat here if this makes sense. Great. All right. Number 3, make your customer the hero. We got a lot of ground to cover. I can't wait to the 5th shift. It's going to blow your mind. Oh my gosh. I want to fast forward, but I can't because the 3rd shift is equally as important. So you've heard this before, make your customer the hero. But the fact is nobody knows how to do it. Because right now, if you go to your homepage, and you go to most homepages, CEOs always say, yeah, let's do that. Let's make it. Marketers say, I can do that. But very few people know how to actually implement this on the homepage. Because, if you look at your homepage now and ask yourself honestly, what is my homepage for our business in love with? What is it in love with? So type in the chat now. What is your homepage in love with? Type it in the chat. Come on. Okay. What is it in love with? Oh my gosh. It hurts to ask this question. It really is uncomfortable. And this is because this shift has not taken place. And from your customer's perspective, they're going to come to your site and this is what they're going to see. The dude on the left versus the gal on the right, because they get that it's obsessed with your solution. Yeah, I get it. So the hero's journey is something you love. We all love the hero's journey, but just focus on what your role is here. Your role in the language that you're using, in the position that you're taking, the perspective that you have in every social media post, every LinkedIn post, every proposal, every social anything, every email, every uh, every word on your website, okay, has to come from the perspective of the guide, not the hero, the trusted advisor. And that makes sense because if you're leading a movement as that guide in the story. It's all part of the same concept. But just to put a sharp point on that, take a look at a before website. Everything is AI now, but you go to this site, you have no idea what they're doing, creating a better world for tomorrow. What in the name of bejesus are they selling? Okay. Same company after this clarity of who is the hero here, it's doctors who are the hero here, not the solution. And they're giving doctors superpowers so they can actually help their patients better by using AI. It makes sense. It fits. It works. This does not work. And this is just an example of that. Here's an example of what doesn't work: bad graphics. Transforming mental health care delivery is making Heal Med, sorry to say it to you guys, totally bad, totally, totally bad. Doesn't work. Makes you guys the hero, and that doesn't work because the old way is really making claims why we're the best. And it's hard to do that because nobody freaking believes you. But it's easier actually to take the position, the perspective as the guide, how we're going to make you better, and we will guide you. All right. So you're really selling transformation in here, and you're really needing to involve yourself in that story of your customer. And here are some websites I'm just going to flash before your eyes. So look real quick. These are headlines that very clearly contrast the old way with the new way, clearly contrast the change or the transformation that has to take place. All right. Um, yeah, so the offer that's coming later is to book a session, an audit session with me. That's the QR code that's going to come up later as well. You can also see it in the upper right-hand corner where it says offer. That is there. So Patricia, new board, massive goals, real quick story, selling an innovation for applied behavior analytics organizations. After she made the shifts with her team, doubled sales in 3 months. I shit you not. Confidence with marketing spend, poised for acquisition, which is ultimately where she wants to go with the business. And you can see very beautifully laid out what her movement looks like here, helping organizations stop the delivery at any cost approach and start with the cost effective delivery approach. It's beautiful. It makes sense. And it's leading with a movement there. And she emailed me here saying that after she just posted this, within minutes, actually scored a meeting. Not too shabby because of the messaging. All right, give me a 1 in the chat if making your customer the hero and your solution innovation, the guide of the story, makes sense. We've got a Kim, Ashley, MW, Bill, Kristen, Haley. Awesome. You guys are doing great work. Great work here. Good job. All right. Number 4. So we talked about how to lead, the purpose of this webinar is how to lead your category. So here's a bit of a hack, but it works, and it works almost every time if you do it right. The 4th shift is to name your category. To name your category. So look at the telephone, the mobile phone, the smartphone, and something's coming, folks, in the 2020s, I promise you. And it has the suffix of phone, but it has a prefix that is different. It typically is a prefix. It could be a suffix as well. Now, spatial computing is not it, but look what Apple did with this category. It's putting spatial in front of computing because this is a category, and arguably they're going to lead this category. Hopefully, I'm an Apple shareholder, full disclosure, they're going to lead that category. Conversation intelligence, also category that they're building. So how do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him at any game but chess. So this is awesome way. So remember ReadyWorks? We showed you what they did before and why they were so successful. They created a category called smart forms. And that category is in contrast to the old way, which is paper checklists. You just take a look at that picture of that checklist. Can you imagine a nurse spending time filling out dates on a checklist? Oh my gosh, how like 19th century. But that's still going on in so many hospitals in the United States. So the movement that they're about, the category is smart forms. So Clipper, video intelligence versus video libraries. Information driven from cognition versus document driven. Intelligent recovery, which is awesome because it uses AI instead of just the same old of data backup, which happened since the 90s. So you see where we're going here, folks. Look at the CCO, collaborative care organization, new category versus a PPO, which we all know of. So CCO kind of rhymes. It kind of has a credibility ring to it, even though it's brand new, but it works. People get it. Oh, it's like a PPO, but it's about collaborating with doctors instead. Oh, I get it. Very powerful stuff. So here's a bunch of other companies throughout the years who have established their own category. This is something that you guys got to do, and this a framework for doing this. It's in my book. We can help you, but you can also do this on your own. You can figure it out. There's a framework for doing this to name your category. If naming your category is something that you think you may want to do in 2024, give me a 1 in the chat. So yeah, so naming your category essentially sidesteps your competition to say, instead of saying we're better than everybody else, you can say, well, everyone else is doing fine, but we're solving a unique problem that nobody else is solving. And we call this something or other, thingamabob, because it gets you to this place that no other organization can get you to. And this is the category that we're in. It's very powerful to do this. All right. So number 5, use the secret weapon. This is the one, oh my gosh, mind is blown here. And this shift I only made actually in the last month in collaboration with, I'm going to share. So the secret weapon is to hire an outside expert who will do 3 things. 1, refine your brand DNA through facilitated interviews with your leadership team, your customers and prospects and partners, using the most effective messaging frameworks to rework your homepage, your sales deck, your sales marketing material and messaging that is conversation centric, meaning it's about having the right conversations in the sales process. And the third piece is give you your brand DNA as, wait for it, training data. Training data. Oh my gosh. To train ChatGPT on to generate a torrent, a freaking tsunami of 100% on brand content. So you don't have to give it to ChatGPT. You can keep it, and your CMO could use it. Your marketing people could use it. Everybody who's creating content could use it as their Bible to create content, or you can just paste it into GPT and let GPT be the ideation. Awesome. GPT-4, and it's only going to get better. In fact, it's worse today than it will ever be in the future. It'll only be better. And in 2024, that is huge. So first of all, have you ever heard about this before? I hope you have. Give me a 1 in the chat. Have you heard about that number 3rd element, by the way? I'm just curious. Yeah. So this, it may be new to some people. If you've never heard of this, give me a 0 in the chat. 0 if you have not heard of doing something like this. Yeah. All right, so that I'm glad I'm getting some zeros because this is really new stuff. I mean, think about it. ChatGPT wasn't even here a freaking year ago. Like, and every 3 months it changes. So, but once you have this, you're going to be able to create a torrent of 100% on-brand content through the people that you have. That because maybe they're using ChatGPT or not, but you're going to be able to create that. And you're going to be able to move away when you're hiring an outside expert to help you get outside of the box of language where, my company provides a unique complex solution leveraging revolutionary technology, which is kind of like what Buzz Lightyear might say before he met Woody, who helped him see that he was just a toy, but an awesome toy and a hero. Anyway, when you're inside the box, it's hard to see how customers see you. And this is part of the 3rd shift. It's part of the secret weapon. So just to be clear, it is to refine your brand DNA through facilitated interviews with an outside expert, to rework your messaging, and to provide that content, that framework to your people and your AI that you're going to use, whether it's Gemini or GPT or whatever you're going to use in 2024. So quick story, Masood, he was frustrated with sales were declining, 30 demos to 1 sale. That's like the worst ever. Like, oh my gosh, huge cost on that sale. Sales teams were turning over and leaving. And he was anxious about limited financial runway. This is the website before, and you can probably see why. It's totally not clear what they're selling, very technical product. Afterwards, this get intelligent recovery. By the way, that's the new category that Trilio created, is intelligent recovery. And they double down on that, and they're winning with that messaging. Anyway, so afterwards, tripled at bats, doubled their win rate in 2 months, and confident in the spend of marketing because they're turning into sales. All right, so Yeah, so this is the magnetic messaging framework that is a fill in the blanks, color by numbers kind of approach to how your website needs to have all these sections. And the training of GPT with your brand DNA has answers to all of these questions that need to be fleshed out. If I'm going too fast, this doesn't make sense, please type in the chat a question. I'm just zooming here. I'm also hopped up on some espresso. But anyway, these are what we call the building blocks for buy-in. So when someone comes to your website, they have like, I don't know, they hear about you through your social, through word of mouth, they meet you at a cocktail party, whatever. Like, what is this company? They're going to go to your website and they for like 9 seconds to answer a lot of questions in their brain. And the brain goes pretty quick. Like, what is this? Why should I care? What problem does it solve? You know, what story? What's the transformation story? Who will I become after I use it? Who is this for? And they need to you have to answer those questions by having these sections. So in the magnetic messaging framework, there are section by section answers to those questions that people have in their minds. These are some visual examples of just the top part of the websites that begin to answer these questions with language, with words, very few words that help paint that picture. I'm not going to go into this because we just don't have too much time, but you can see this is the magnetic messaging framework, the color by numbers piece. Do you have a tribal affinity piece? Do you have an affliction section? Do you have a solution section? Do you have a stake section? What's at stake? Do you have um, um social proof, for example? This is that Bennett Thrasher site, and this is really good. And you can see besides the headline, there's that one sentence description of the transformation. So helping mid to large organizations accomplish the goal, save money, make money, and mitigate risk. So very simple, very clear. SEO, by the way, is going to totally change in 2024. In fact, the bucket of keywords is the old way that Google and Bing has been doing it. But now, when you look on the way the websites need to be worded, is that the new SEO and ChatGPT and AI is going to really tune into the voice of intent, as I call it, the voice of intent. And by the way, I don't even think that's the Gemini logo. It came out like last week. That's the speed at which things are changing with AI. Anyway, so this is a section on the BT website, and this is the kind of section you need to have on your site, which is not only problem-centric, problem-focused, it's that empathizes and lets people know that you understand their problem, but it also actually has quotes from customers describing their problem, which helps the AI bots in the future and in the present tune up to the voice of intent that your customers have. So do you guys know what I mean when I say voice of intent? Or is this like, oh my gosh, what in the hell is he talking about? Voice of intent, yes or no? Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, our manual process takes days, sometimes weeks to get the information we need. That's describing the intention of what the problem this company has, and it is going to drive traffic and people to this site because SEO is changing to the new way. All right. So also the calls to action must change from the old way, which is passive, learn more, get started, to very prescriptive, very action oriented. Get your impact assessment, get a demo, schedule your session, get expert recommendations. That is much better. So the old way, market like a marketer, making huge claims. The new way, market like a coach. And this is the theme here. This is part of the secret weapon. This is the the simple plan section, which you need, because customers, when they come to your site, prospects, if they don't know what process they can go through with you to be successful, they're just going to go away. And I believe that you should have a booking form if you're selling a solution over 50K. They can't just buy it now. You don't want a contact form on your homepage with a first name, last name, email address. You don't do that. Have the person commit to a date and time. And once they're there, not only will you get their first name, last name, but you can ask a lot of qualification, disqualifications that help. All right. I like to say, don't hire a marketer, hire a sales enabler, because it's about sales conversations. Good sales reps are going to be saying, when a customer says we have a problem, good sales reps are going to say, well, why do you want that problem fixed? And you need sales presentations that encourage your sales reps to have that conversation, not here's our solution and why it's so great. That doesn't work anymore. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the 12 essential conversations. This stuff you can get from the book that's coming out next year. So just to recap, the secret weapon is hire an outside expert who's going to do these three things: refine your brand DNA through facilitated interviews, using the best framework, rework your homepage, sales deck from a design and from a content perspective to allow you to have the most important conversations to get customers to make the changes they need to make, and give your brand, get you a brand DNA as training data that you can train your team on, your partners on, your employees on, as well as you can train GPT on. All right, so this is what you need to win. Just to recap: lead a movement, start with the problem, make your customer the hero, name your category, pin that tail on the donkey, people, and use the secret weapon, which is to hire an outside expert. So now you have a choice. You can go it alone, and I'm going to put up here as well on the screen, go with the magnetic messaging framework. I'm sharing the handout now, which, by the way, is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You can click on the download now and download that. Or so you can go it alone with the framework that I'm giving you, or you can get expert help. If you snap that QR code or click on the offer tab, you can book your session with me. Between now and Christmas, I literally only have like 5 or 6 slots, 45-minute slots before I'm out of here till next year. So I would love to meet with you if you are qualified. So here's what I have for you: book a call, and I will offer you a personalized sales and marketing gap audit. We'll discuss what's working, what's not working, and decide what to do about it, get a game plan. And this is absolutely free, and that's if you qualify. And I would just say, if you don't qualify, let's see, do I have a slide for that? Yeah. If you don't have a viable product, if you aren't committed to your vision, you are okay with where you aren't challenging the status quo, you're not selling an innovation, you can't or won't invest time or money in the business because it takes all that. So that's what I'm saying is qualification. If that is not you, then you are qualified. I would love to have that session with you and really help you get a plan. So in the chat here, type, how is this? Is this my tracking? Is there anything you got in here that was valuable? And which one of these 5 shifts were you most able to connect with inside this session? Which one of those were you most able to connect with? Which one were you most able to connect with? MW says no offer tab. All right, so then you can snap with your phone this QR code. First of all, do you see the offer tab? Just want to make sure. Does that show up? Offer? Just give me a yes, someone. Want to make sure that is there for people. Okay. No. Okay, well then click on this. So, snap your phone on the QR code. Okay, so the offer tab should be there, but still, if it's not there, you can, do you see the QR code on the screen? You can snap that. So which of the five shifts were you able to experientially today connect with and feel like you want to act on, you really want to spend some time on, and get right? And which one? Number 2, start with the problem. Mike, 3 for me: risk of doing nothing is greater than the risk of changing development partners. Yeah, there's this wonderful quote by Anais Nin. I memorized it because I love it so much. And the day came when the risk it took to blossom was greater. The risk it took to blossom. I messed up the quote. I'm bad on memory quotes, but maybe you know that quote from Anais Nin. Anyway, it's a beautiful quote, and it has to do with the risk of blossoming versus the risk of staying tight as a bud. So guest 2919, your most powerful change, or the one that you got from here, was the shift of four. What is shift number four? Let's see. Uh, uh, yeah, shift number four is name your category. Yeah. So I think for me, I'm excited about AI, and I really see the potential of what's going to be happening in the next year. And if you're just pouring in your existing content and asking ChatGPT to make more of it, it's garbage in, garbage out. And that's why I think the fifth shift, which is a secret weapon, the results of that is huge because it's going to amplify your marketing and help your sales because you'll have a lot of content that's going to be right on brand. Bud was more painful. Oh, thank you, Sean. Bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Thank you for doing that Google search of the quote from Anise Nin. Love that. It melts my heart when I read that. It's such a brilliant quote. Yeah, so we are a little over time, but I love you guys, and my mission in my business and my life is to help CEOs overcome that barrier, that thing that's standing in between you, your innovation, and your ideal customers. That's something that I have a talent for. I dedicated my life from design school to selling and sweating at knowing what works and what doesn't work, selling millions of dollars of solutions. And I am now dedicated my business and my life to helping CEOs do this work. So that's why I do it. I hope that you take advantage of booking some time with me and see if we could help you cross that chasm. I love you guys. I want to wish you success. If we don't speak, have a wonderful holiday. Jump on that magnetic messaging framework, work on it, paint by numbers, and be successful. So I want to thank you so much for your time, your passion in your business, because I am sure what you're doing is really helping your people, your customers do better, make more, be successful, because that's why you started your business, I am sure. So with that, I'm out and we will speak soon. Take care, everybody. Happy holidays. Sure. Oh yeah, phone. Look at that. I forgot about these things. There's my heart. Yeah, love you guys. Oh, I can rotate the heart too. Look at that. Rotate, rotate, and I put the thumb up, thumbs up. There's a finger point, and there's a phone. Yeah, give me book a call. Give me a call. That's pretty fun. Awesome. Oh, I like these toys. These visual toys. I don't know if you've seen these filters on TikTok. What makes you look older? I won't do it. I don't want to see what I look like as an 80-year-old person. I know I look like my father. So I can just look at him. Anyway, take care, guys. We'll speak to you soon.